You called down the thunder, well now you got it. So run, you cur. Run! Tell all the other curs the law's coming! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Welcome to the Dynasty Defined podcast, a show discussing the most decorated program in the history of sport, the Oklahoma State Cowboys wrestling program. I'm your host, Lee Cothran, joined as always by my co-host here, Daton Fix. Daton, it is the best week in wrestling. March Madness, the national tournament, whatever you want to call it, is upon us. We're heading to Philadelphia this week, and we're excited to see the Pokes in action for the final time this season, the final time that this group will be together. Several seniors in this lineup, several opportunities to get on the podium, get back on the podium, and maybe get on the podium for the first time. So really, really exciting times for Cowboy wrestling and for all these wrestlers. What are you excited about most in Philadelphia this week?
I'm just excited to be a fan again. It's been probably 7-8 years since I got to go and just enjoy it. So I'm just looking forward to watching some good wrestling. It's hard to wrestle in the tournament and also watch. Like I would go back to the hotel after my match and usually like turn it on the TV, but it's just not the same as being there and actually getting to enjoy it and watch all the matches. So, I'm just looking forward to enjoying it and cheering on the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, being in the stands is definitely got to be a lot more enjoyable than, all the chaos of being in the belly of the beast and, everybody running around. You've got all the celebrating, all the mourning, and all the things that happen is I was going back and reading some stuff that I wrote back in, 2016. 2017 about the national tournament and how chaotic it is for these wrestlers and coaches and all the support staff and officials and everybody else, right? It's just a busy, busy time. And, kudos on those that manage it and go through it all. But, you get to sit back. I don't, you're just, are you going to be in regular seats like everybody else, just cheering them on?
Yeah. I'll just be regular seats. So we'll see if the crowd likes me a little better this year than they did last year.
Well, that's short memories sometimes with wrestling fans, which is a good and bad thing. But that somebody new will turn heel, and I don't know. That's the crazy thing about this tournament too, is like, you've got all these guys have worked their whole life and just dedicated everything to it and to get to this point, and then you've got somebody out there that yelling just hateful things at them to feel better about themselves, I guess. But yeah, it is what it is. Well, we've been saying it all year. What constitutes success for Oklahoma State in this tournament? You qualified 9 guys. 7 of them have seeds to All-American. T. Travis gets in last minute. He's got the 33 seed. He can do some damage because he's a bit of a wild card in this tournament. Caleb Fish is a 12 seed, I think. And he is been there several times in his career. He's been in the round of 16. He's been in the round of 12, just hasn't quite gotten over that hump. But otherwise, the other 7 guys, typically what you're trying to see here is how do they wrestle the seed? How does a coaching staff manage the stress that is this tournament and get them within 1 or 2 points of positions of their seeding? I think that's where Penn State's really stood out over the past, almost 20 years now, where In general, they finish within 2 or so standard deviation points of their seeding. Um, Oklahoma State, on the other hand, has had some where they've wrestled way above. You were on a couple of those teams. 2021 was a year that Oklahoma State placed some 7 points above their seeding. Everybody kind of wrestled above where they were expected to that season. A lot of it attributed to Wyatt Sheets getting in and making it to All-American. AJ Farrar being like a 9 seed and winning the national championship, all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And then there's also 2017 is another year you can look back to, and everybody wrestled really well. I think above 3 points, but for the most part, Oklahoma State's been finishing around 5 or so spots under the seeding. So it's something that you're looking at and saying, okay, well, you got 7 guys that are seeded to All-American. Can all those guys at least reach their seed? Can Troy Spratley, Tegan Jamison, Luke Serber get to 7th place? Can Amin get back on the podium, right? Can Dean Hamady exceed his seeding and make it to the national finals? Can Dustin Plott do that and exceed his seeding and make it to the national finals? Same with Wyatt Hendrickson. He's a 2 seed, so can he get over the Greg Kerkvliet hump and make it to the finals? And I think that's how you just measure success here is out of those 7 guys, how many of them just meet their seed? And then how well does Teague Travis perform? How well does Caleb Fish perform? What are your thoughts on that, Dayton?
Yeah, I think that if we can have 7, 8 All-Americans, that's a really good year for us. And I don't think there's any reason why a lot of those guys can't wrestle above their seed. You got guys like Troy Spratley and Tegan Jamison who are 7 seeds, and I think that they have a great, opportunity to finish above that. Even a guy like Luke Serber, who's an 8 seed, I just see him finishing a little bit higher on the podium than that. And I think that we put 7, 8 guys on the podium, we're going to be in a pretty good spot to be in probably second. Obviously, as a program, we're striving to get back to winning national titles, and I think that we're heading in that direction for sure. It's just there is a pretty tall task in doing it this year. Penn State, that they have the opportunity to put 7, 8 guys in the finals, which is pretty unheard of in college wrestling. But that everybody still got to show up and wrestle. That's the reason that national titles aren't won on paper. I'd probably have a couple if it was that way. But you do have to show up and wrestle, and nothing's given. So you got to go out there and earn it. And I expect our guys to go out and wrestle hard, take it one match at a time, and just go have fun. I'm excited for them.
That's 100% the truth. I scream it from the rooftops and hear a lot about that. Kind of similar to, like we said, people work their whole life to it, and then you got somebody yelling about whatever. But people don't really like to hear, well, hey, you can't predict these things. Like, it doesn't happen on paper. It doesn't happen in us talking about it. It happens on the mat, and wild things happen every year. People, it never goes chalk. I don't think in my 15, 20 years of following this sport as closely as I have, I don't think there's one time where I've seen a bracket go 1 to 8 was the seeding and the finishing, right? So
Sure.
it is a very it's a grueling tournament, right? You've said it. Everybody who's wrestled in has said it's the hardest tournament in the sport.
Yeah, it's I will say that as long as you keep winning, it's not as hard. As long as you win, it's one match per session. And I always looked at it as just we wrestle dual meets all the time, so it's just like wrestling five different dual meets. Show up in the morning, make weight, win your match, go back to the hotel, rest, come back that evening, It's just another one match. Go out there, win that match, go back to the hotel, get back down to weight, and then do it all again tomorrow, the next day. So as long as you're on that front side, it's pretty simple. But you drop down there in one of those first 2 rounds, you're going to have a couple more matches, and that's when it really starts getting grueling. And then you're going to hit probably a couple All-Americans along the way, which doesn't make it any easier. So it's a grind, but at this point in the season, it's just the guys that are focused, that are going to perform well. They're focused on what they need to do, and they're going to wrestle hard. Those are the guys that are going to win on the backside. Because a lot of those guys, some of their dreams are just got crushed. Someone gets upset. You see it every year. One of those top 3, 4 seeds get upset early and then drop down, and they'll catch somebody on the back that is just wrestling. They've won a couple matches on the backside, and they just upset the 2, 3 seed, even a 1 seed on the backside, and everybody's kind of like, wow, I didn't expect that to happen. But it's not easy to drop a match and then come back and try to win another one on the backside. So I think that's it's just hard to do. And I think we have a lot of guys that are they're if they do end up losing on the front side, they're going to be focused on the next best thing, and then coming back and finishing as high as they can.
You definitely have several. Every year, you've got several guys who want to place the hard way, right? Patrick McKee, the last several years, has been a guy for Minnesota that seemed to. You could pencil him in losing the first round and then making third, right? That was kind of the thing with him. Cam Amin is somebody that's done that a couple times in his career. He's finished 4th place twice, and I think in both of those he had to make his way through the consolation rounds to get there. I catch myself every year thinking, saying this exact thing, and I'm going to try not to do it today. Well, you really want to win your second round match, because then you're in the quarterfinals. You only have to win once to make the blood round. And I'm like, oh man, yeah. So you're looking at this, right? Like the 125 bracket. Spratley at the 7 seed, definitely a very difficult seeding. Get past the first guy. Then you've got Steve O'Poulin, who's a in-conference rival that you somehow haven't really hit. That's a really tough second round matchup, but you really got to get by that one, because if you drop down there, then you're going to have to wrestle, a tough opponent in the first one, maybe Nick Babin from Pittsburgh, and then you're going to have to wrestle Renteria from Oregon State in the round of 16, and then in the blood round, man, you're most likely going to run into either Figueroa or Vincent Robinson from North Carolina State, and that's going to be really tough. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, obviously, like you got to win 2 more matches there to get to the blood round, and you make it a lot easier on yourself, like you said, if you beat Poulin, and then yeah, you get another shot at Matt Ramos, which is a really good matchup in the CKLV. Ramos presents some challenges for Spratley with his length and he's a very aggressive wrestler. Nothing that Spratley can't handle, but if he drops that one, then you're going down and probably not running into as difficult an opponent in the blood round. It's still going to be somebody tough. Looking through here, I'd probably put Mark Anthony McGowan there from Princeton. It could be any number of people though. Brendan McCrone, Dean Patterson from Rutgers. There's a lot of guys that he could run into in that situation. But yeah, you just definitely make it a lot easier on yourself by winning those first 2 rounds on the top side. And then, of course, if you can pull the upset over the 2 seed, then great. And then, hey, just go win the thing, and then you made it easier on yourself the whole way. But you just got to look at the possibilities along the way too. Yeah,
definitely. Just looking at the 125 bracket, there's nobody in this bracket that Troy Spratley can't beat. I think he's right in a good position to, he could make the finals, he could win it. But, I don't see him finishing any lower than 5th. He's just, he's been wrestling so good all year. Obviously he's dropped a couple of matches at Strickenberger, which he probably should have won both of those matches. And he's just someone that I think it probably benefited him a little bit, dropping that Big 12 Finals match, just because the type of guy he is. He's going to be hungrier now than he would have been if he would have won. He sometimes we were talking about this morning. Some guys, they win the conference tournament and then they might have some confidence, but you just get a little bit complacent, and you might not be as hungry to go out there and go and get it. And that's you're not gonna All-American, you're not gonna win a national title if you don't go get it. Nothing's gonna be just given to you. You can't expect to win. You have to go out there and go score the points, go get the takedowns. They're not just going to go out there and roll over for you. So I think that Troy, he's in the right kind of headspace. He's ready to go out there and make these guys wrestle. He's going to go out there and be offensive. And he's going to finish as high as he wants to. He's in a. I think he doesn't have the easiest draw, but I don't think that really matters. He's going to have a first round matchup against Virginia, and then he'll have Poulin or even Tanner Jordan, who he's obviously seen a couple times. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jordan in that match, which wrestled in the Big 12s, beat him probably the worst he's beaten him, but even if he hits him again, I don't see it being too big of a problem. Just has to go do what he has to do, and then obviously he'll have probably Matt Ramos in that quarterfinal match, which I know he'd love to get that match back from the Vegas. And that's just a matchup where you've got to go find a takedown. He's long. He's not going to be easy to score on. He can scramble, but I think that the more shots that Troy puts on target, the better chance he has at getting a takedown. You don't want it to be just one flurry, and that's the match. You don't want to just stand around and make it a one takedown match where it's in the third period. Troy definitely needs to go out and create action early, and I expect that to be the case this week with Troy.
I think that's got to be true beyond his first two matchups here. It's true against if he runs into Poulin, it's true. It's definitely true though against Ramos. He could see Strickenberger in the semifinals again, and then if he hits a Luke Lillidahl or a Vincent Robinson in the finals, then that's just the same thing. He needs to create the offense. I think that's really what caught him in the Big 12 finals was just wasn't really creating the action as much as he could have been. And that's where he separates himself. And what we've seen in the past two seasons is him going out and creating action is really where he is really, really good. And then if he runs into a Luke Lillidahl of Penn State, they're no strangers. Those two have wrestled several times in the freestyle circuit. So I think that, 100% to your point, he's good enough to finish anywhere there. So I think that for Troy, the sky is the limit for him, and it would be great if he could get a championship. Going to stop on 133 for just a second, just because there is a slight Oklahoma State tie-in here. I do think Nasir Bailey has a really good chance to be Little Rock's first national champion. He's got a great draw. I know we're not a Little Rock podcast. I hope I'm not cursing him here, as I have done many, many times in the past. But I think Nasir Bailey, he has a great route. He's got some tough ones with Evan Frost being a potential quarterfinal matchup, with Drake Ayala being a potential semifinal matchup. Ayala has no easy task here with his first two rounds. Like Cade Moore to start, and then the winner of Anthony Noto and Julian Farber is a brutal first two matches there for the Iowa wrestler, which I'm not going to shed any tears over. But regardless, I really think that Nasir Bailey could be a guy that goes and gets Little Rock their first national championship, which would be a massive win for that program. Coach Neil Irisman, obviously a Cowboy, and then Pat Smith's heavily involved over there, so it would be just great to see.
Yeah, that'd be huge for that program. I don't know. They've been a program for, I don't know, a handful of years now, and even have somebody that's in that conversation is a big deal. I definitely think Bailey, he's definitely capable of doing it. He's extremely confident, on his feet. We've seen him a couple of times this year get into these matches where, for whatever reason, he just doesn't really want to go down. Which I don't think he has a problem getting out, but I think he's just that confident on his feet that he picks neutral in these one takedown matches or no takedown match. And a lot of the time he's been losing 1-0 going to that third period, and he'll just go neutral. He's gotten the takedown a couple times, hasn't gotten it a couple times. So we'll see if his strategy changes, at all in the postseason. I would probably, if I was his coach, I'd tell him you need to go down and get this escape point just in case, And then just go down, get out in 10 seconds. Then you have all the time you want on your feet to go get that winning takedown. But I think he's in a great spot on the bracket. I think that he could definitely beat anybody in here. I've wrestled him. I wrestled him this past summer, so he's really good from the outside. Has a good double leg, and he's definitely a threat to win this 133-pound bracket.
Definitely. So exciting thing to keep an eye on there for Oklahoma State fans. Just there's a slight tie-in. Always got to root for the Little Rock guys unless they hit a Cowboy. For 141 pounds, Tegan Jameson, another guy that he's got a great opportunity here if he leverages his strength, if he forces his offense, mixes it up a little bit from the double leg. Fortunately for him, he doesn't really have a ton of Big 12 guys or even guys that he's wrestled a lot on his side of the bracket. So I think that Tegan has a great opportunity to make a big run here if he can just win get those first couple under his belt and keep his confidence high. Come off the scale, get that first win, keep your health and endurance and everything up, and then yes, your second round matchup. It's always going to be every matchup's tough as the NCAA tournament. But you get the winner of CJ Composto of Pennsylvania and Josh Edmond of Missouri. Composto is really tough. UPenn's always going to be pretty tough at these middleweights, just with the nature of the room that they're in. I know that we just got Joey McKenna, right, from the RTC, but UPenn's got a really tough room there. They've always got a lot of guys in there training, making them better. And Composto has been very solid over the past couple of years. But I do like Jameson in that matchup to potentially take on Bo Bartlett of Penn State in the quarterfinals. So I think again, great opportunity here for Tegan Jameson. I don't know if a lot of these guys have felt a guy as strong as Tegan. And if he can stick his fundamentals, then I think he's got a great chance to make a big run here.
Yeah, Tegan's been wrestling really good all year. And I think that he's a lot like Troy. There's nobody in this weight that's just far and away better than everybody else. Obviously he just beat the national champ from a couple of years ago. So, there's no reason that he can't beat anybody else in this bracket. You're looking at, first two matches, definitely have to go take care of business. But if, more than likely going to see Bo Bartlett in that quarterfinal match. And that's a match where, Bo Bartlett, he'll wrestle those one takedown matches. He'll wrestle a match where it might be a lot of standing around, which Tegan, he does some of that, as well. But if you're in that kind of match, anybody can win. All it takes is one double leg from Tegan, and he could be in the semifinals, pretty easy in that match. Just it's definitely easier said than done. Definitely, Bo Bartlett, he's a national title contender in his own right. But it's going to be anytime you match up with a Penn State guy, they're going to wrestle hard the whole 7 minutes. They're not going to probably not going to fatigue. Probably not going to just lay down for you. So you got to be ready to wrestle a high paced and wrestle it that whole 7 minutes. And I think that I wrestled with Tegan, I think 3 times this week, and he's been feeling really good. Just he's focused, he's strong as strong as ever, and I'm excited for him. I'm excited for what he can do. He has a great opportunity. If he gets past Bartlett, he'll see Jesse Mendez, who he already had a pretty much a one takedown match with at CKLV. So there's definitely a scenario where Tegan can make that finals, and who knows who will come out of that other side. But I think that Tegan's a lot like Troy. He's gonna go as far as he wants to in this bracket.
Yeah, Bartlett's an interesting matchup. I'm really intrigued by those two hitting. I think that um, Bartlett's extremely athletic and quick, flexible. But you're right. I mean, he wrestles a lot of one takedown matches. That's kind of his signature. He is like every Penn State wrestler. He's exploits your mistakes if you make them. If you give him a window, he has the ability to exploit that and pin you, or get his takedown and then just kind of park it. Right. And that's kind of the nature of what they do. And I'm curious to see how the styles clash between those two, because it's a chess match. And I think that when strength and athleticism meet, you usually see some pretty wild scrambles. Or, I mean Jordan Burroughs and Kyle Dake. Think about that. That's a typical strength and athleticism thing. I think that Burroughs is stronger and Dake a little bit more athletic, and it usually creates good wrestling. He's ultimately, end of the day, we're in for a treat if that's the matchup we get to see. 149, Teague Travis with the not surprising, as we talked about last week. He wrestled, four guys in the field, and it'd be shocker if he got anything above the 32 seed, and he ended up with a 33 seed. So you're in the pigtail. You've got Winton Dinkins of Campbell in the first round. Then you're taking on returning national champion from Virginia Tech, Caleb Hinson, in that morning session on Thursday morning. So Teague's going to need to be ready to wrestle, and he's going to have a great opportunity. You win that one and you're placed the one seed. I don't know if it's happened. I can't remember it happening. But you replace that one seed, your path gets pretty clear to the finals. Yep. But if he doesn't, if he drops that one, no harm, no foul. You're just gonna have to go make the podium the hard way, which I think might be suited to Teague Travis. He seems to have that kind of attitude and short memory of a Patrick McKee or a Cam Amin, where you can go make the podium, make the third place matchup, and do it the hard way. Dakota Gear, another guy that did this for the Cowboys a few years ago, was the 32 seed or something like that, and found a way to get on the podium.
Yeah. Teague, he's a 33 seed, but he's definitely not the 33rd best guy in this weight.
Right.
It was just unfortunate that he only wrestled 7 matches, and it's going to be hard to get a really good seed if you're 4-3 on the year. But it is what it is. You go win that first match, and then if there's any match to wrestle Hinson, it's probably to catch him off the scale. He's had a little bit of trouble in some dual meets. He'll wrestle just closer matches whenever he has to wrestle off the scale. I think he's a pretty big 149 pounder, which Teague is too. Obviously coming down from 57. So it's going to be that one's definitely going to be a brawl. Hinson's he's a physical guy, and so is Teague. So it's going to be a fight for sure. And you get into a dogfight, who knows what's going to happen. But if you drop that one, obviously, like you said, going to have to rattle off some wins on the backside. But Teague Travis, he's that kind of guy that he could go on a run on the backside and win 2 or 3 matches and be right there in that blood round if he wrestles how he can. I don't know. Well, I do know, Oklahoma State, they have the only other 33 seed to become an All-American in Wyatt Sheets. So it would be a pretty special thing if, somehow we Oklahoma State has the two guys that were 33 seeds to come through in an All-American. That would be a pretty special thing just to say about the program. But you got to go earn it. And
Yeah.
Teague knows that, and he knows he doesn't have an easy path, but he probably likes it that way. He's tough. He wants it to be a fight. And I'm excited for him. He wanted to wrestle in the postseason. He made that choice. He could have easily, decided I'm going to take a medical redshirt year and not wrestle this year. But this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to compete, and now he finds himself in the tournament. So, go do it. Go have fun and just go let it fly.
Yeah, it really speaks to he made a big bet on himself, and then the coaching staff made a big bet on him too, on saying, okay, well, we're going to roll with this guy. And he had to go qualify. Like, he had to go come in fourth place at the Big 12 tournament. And he went and did it. And I think that speaks a lot to optimism from the coaches on Teague Travis, and then, of course, belief in himself to execute. So really good stuff there from Teague Travis. I'm excited to learn more about his mindset and what all went into that. So 157 pounds here. You've got Caleb Fish. He really, at the 12 seed, got a pretty good draw here. Brandon Cannon of Ohio State, likely his second round opponent. Cannon has been really good this year. I mean, obviously he's a 5 seed. He's performed really well. He had a pretty good run at the Big Ten tournament, and I think that it is a tough matchup for Fish. Watching some tape, Fish likes to keep things close. He likes to get really physical with guys, work a little bit of upper body, get guys into bad positioning. I don't know how much he's going to be able to create that with Cannon, but Cannon is young. So it is a good opportunity for Fish to exploit that and to pull an upset here.
Yeah, no, I think that Caleb Fish probably got the best draw I could have asked for. Probably the best draw that any of our guys got. He obviously is going to probably see Cannon in that second round, which isn't an easy matchup for him. In that match, I'd just like to see Fish get his hands on Cannon. Cannon, he impressed me at the Big Tens. Looked really good on his feet, good from the outside, hit some low-level shots that were really nice, which could be a problem for Fish. But I think as long as he gets his hands on him, uses his underhooks, I don't know if Brandon Cannon's felt someone quite as strong as Caleb Fish. Maybe outside of KSAC in that Big Ten finals, and we saw how that one ended. So I think if Fish can get by Cannon, I think I really like him in the rematch against Hippolito from Virginia Tech. I think that was a match where Caleb Fish was just out there letting it fly, and Hippolito is someone who is really good upper body and just caught him on his back a couple times. But I think that in a rematch, Caleb Fish is going to know how to wrestle him this time, and that match would go a lot different. So I've said it about 25 and 33, but I really do think that Caleb Fish could make the semis as the 12 seed. Not just being an Oklahoma State homer, I think that he actually does have a really realistic shot at making the semifinals. And even if he doesn't, he's someone that is hungry to get on the podium. He's been, really close a couple of times now. So he's going to be a hard out for anybody. He's hungry. He's been wrestling well all year, and just, I see him finishing on that podium for sure. And that would be big for just like you've been saying all year, that's a big thing for the coaching staff, if to get Caleb Fish on the podium. Someone who hasn't been able to get there quite yet in his career, coming to Oklahoma State and doing it for the first time, that'd be big for Oklahoma State.
Yeah. Well, he's not a blue chipper. He's just a salt like uh he's a guy that has worked hard to get to where he is, and credit to Michigan State for a lot of that. But if you can come to Oklahoma State, change your situation, and get there, then that's great. I think that I agree with you. I don't think that I definitely agree with you. Looking at, I like him over Hippolito, Cannon. Um, Common opponents look. I mean, Panera Johnson majored Brandon Cannon, and I think a couple weeks before that match, Fish majored Panera Johnson before he dropped down to 149. So, that always works out, right? The transitive property. So, I think that, yeah, I'm excited for him. It'd be really great if he could make the semifinals, enjoy his Friday. You get through that quarterfinal match, you're an All-American. So that'd be really, really awesome for him. Cam Amin with the 8 seed, he got a really tough draw here. You've got Nick Hamilton of Virginia in the first round. Then you win that one, you've most likely got Cam Steed of Missouri, who Amin beat in the duel. Had some struggles getting off bottom from Steve, but otherwise, we kind of handled it. It's a tough matchup though. You've had that feel. Steed's really good, and that can go any way. And then in the quarterfinal, you're hitting Mitch Messenbrink, who has been on he's been really, really good. He's been on a different level this year. Amin though, he's hungry for it. Like, he doesn't want to end his career on missing the podium twice.
Yeah, he's definitely. We've been saying it all year. He performs in March, and I expect Cam to perform. Here this week. He's doesn't have the easiest draw. Like you said, probably going to see Steed in the second round. That's a match where it's probably going to be a one takedown match. I'd like to see our Cam go out and get a first period takedown. That'd probably take a lot of pressure off of him. And then get past that one, and then obviously you're gonna have your hands full with Mitchell Messenbrink. But even obviously you want to win that match, but if not, you drop to the backside, and at least if you make that quarterfinals, you're in the blood round. You need to win one more match, and I think that he's just too tough of a kid to not make that podium. He's been there before. He's hungry to get back. No matter what happens, I think that we're going to see Cam Amin fight, and I'm excited for the opportunity that he has, and I still think that he's yet to wrestle his best this season, and I expect to see it in March at the national tournament.
For sure. You definitely want to make it to the quarterfinals here. Your blood round matchup. I've got it here as Drake Rhodes from South Dakota State, who I'm very confident Amin can beat. It could also be Braden Scholes of Illinois. There's a few possibilities, of course, because upsets happen and weird things happen in those first 3 rounds of the consolation bracket. But I really like his path there. If he drops it to Steed, you've got some really tough matches there you'll have to get through. Patty Gallagher is at the 26th seed. He's had a rough season. That's likely who you hit there in the first consolation match. Dylan Mulvaney of Bucknell is sitting there in the round of 16. I think if I was a betting man, which I am not, but those are some really tough wrestlers. It definitely. One win against Drake Rhodes or Scholes of Illinois is definitely preferable to having to run through a bit of a buzzsaw if you drop the match to Steed. So I like his opportunity, and like you said, I like him to go finish 5th or 6th in this thing, and that's a big improvement for him, and a great thing for the Cowboys. 174 pounds. Look, I think Dean Hamady has an excellent opportunity to go win this tournament. There's a lot of doubt on him with just the way that the media is. It's Levi Haines, Keane O'Toole. That's the presumed finals matchup. I I really think after watching quite a few matchups here, I really like Dean Hamity over Levi Haines. Haines is extremely tough, great scrambler. Um, you know, has a strength advantage, maybe. But Hamity's length and his ability to score from space, his ability to finish his takedowns and chain wrestle, I just don't know if outside of Keegan O'Toole, if Haynes has really seen anybody quite on the same level as Dean Hamity in his career, quite frankly, at 157 pounds. So I think that Hamity's got a great shot here. And then, we saw it against O'Toole. O'Toole's going to have a great plan going into that matchup. But I really think that those two are going to put on a show for us.
Yeah, obviously, DJ's got to take care of business the first 3 rounds, but
of course,
you get to that semifinal match, and there's probably nobody that knows how to wrestle Levi Haines better than David Taylor. He's been his coach since he was a kid, so you have to think that they're going to have a pretty good game plan going into that match. And I'm with you on. I think that DJ can definitely win this bracket. He's going to be in both these matches. It's going to be hard. They're going to be hand fighting hard. But, he's just been so good on his feet all year long. And he puts, kind of like I was saying with Troy at 25, he puts so many shots on target that you've got to think that he's going to hit on a couple of them. And, I think that if he just keeps wrestling that way, he's going to be in a really good position to win that semifinal match. And then you get to the finals match, and he was up 4-0 against Keegan O'Toole, not just a week ago. So he can win that match too. People are crazy if they don't think that the DJ can't win this weight. He's right there with both of these guys, and I'm excited for him. He's been wrestling great. Just has to go keep doing what he's doing.
For sure.
And he's really good at that. He wrestles in all 3 positions, and I expect him to keep doing that.
Yeah. I love we just haven't seen him do it before. It's like, well, what's changed, right? Like, he completely changed his environment. He changed his weight. He changed just everything, right? Like, he's got better partners. He's got better coaches. He's got just a fully better environment to go out and perform here. I don't really understand the justification of, well, we haven't seen him perform well on the national stage before. Okay, well, things are different, it just, like, everything stays the same, I guess. I don't know. It's just a weird, it's a weird line of thinking to me. And look, O'Toole and Haynes was a great match when they wrestled in the duel. O'Toole clearly wasn't healthy, but he still went out there and won it. And I think that that was really great, and people want to see it again. But I think that O'Toole and Hamity is right up there too. I'd love to see that. I'm excited to see Hamity and Haynes as well. I think that's a really intriguing matchup. Kind of got to sprint through these last few here, but Dustin Plott got the 4 seed. He's opposite Parker Keckeisen, so we're getting a new matchup here between Carter Starachi and Dustin Plott potentially in the semifinals. Plott, like you said earlier, going to have to take care of business. I really like his path through the guys he's matched up with. Got Bennett Berge at the 5 seed, who we've seen that several times. But, Plott's been hunting down a Starachi match for a few years now, and he's really wanted that one. He, of course, went up in weight last year, but that was for the team and for him both. That was a really good thing, and I'm excited to see this one. I think that those two are very different wrestlers. And Starachi, very much a wait for his window guy, and Plott's more of a high pace. He wants to push you to force you to wrestle. So I'm curious to see that matchup, and if he can get over that one, then you're most likely got another Keckeisen matchup here. And if we again, if we have to pick one time for him to get the win, might as well make it in Philadelphia.
Yeah, you know, um, he's Dustin. I like where he's at in the bracket too. Take care of business first couple of matches, and then looking at the semifinal against Carter Strachey. Obviously, it's a matchup that we haven't seen yet, and I think it's a matchup that probably better suits Plot than a Keckeisen. Just because Strachey, he gets in usually in the bigger matches, he kind of sits back and waits on guys, wants to reattack more than actually go on the offense. Which it's a formula that has won Penn State a lot of matches the last 10, 15 years. They get in these big matches and they just kind of let their opponents make mistakes. So that's definitely something that Plot needs to be aware of going into that semifinal match. You need to be, thinking, I can still be offensive. I can still be going forward, but, Carter Strachey is going to be looking to reattack me, which, he's going to be, I think he's going to be well prepared for that match. And, I saw some interview this week about Strachey. He was talking about how Kirk Fleet, why can't he beat Gable Steveson? And, you could say the same thing about this matchup right here. Why can't Dustin Plot beat Carter Strachey? Obviously it's a big ask, but there's no reason why he can't go out there and shock the wrestling world in a sense. It wouldn't be much of a shock for some Oklahoma State fans, but it'd be a big upset. Obviously just because Carter Strachey's a 4-time national champ already. And what better, what better guy to upset the four-time champ going for his 5th than Dustin Plot? It'd be a pretty a great great win for him, and then go to the finals and knock off Keckeisen for your first national title. It would be a storybook ending for Dustin Plot.
It'd be amazing. I would love that. There is no that man truly deserves it. And he is a great human being and is going to continue to, be that, regardless of what happens here. But yeah, I think that it would be an amazing opportunity for him to go do that. And I have trouble putting Carter Strachey on the same kind of plane as Gable Steveson. I don't think it's quite as dominant or anything like that. But he is a 4-time national champion, and he's the 1 seed and is 5th, and he's the favorite right now. So it would be a huge upset and opportunity for Dustin. So that would make all of us very, very happy that have followed him and known him. Would be really good. Luke Serber, I love his path to the quarterfinals here as well. You run into Jacob Cardenas, who's really, really tough from Michigan. He's an All-American at Cornell, transferred to Michigan, all that stuff. Luke's got a great opportunity here.
Yeah, and he has a little bit of history with Cardenas. He wrestled freestyle a couple times, and Luke Serber's beat him in freestyle. So it's definitely he's familiar with Cardenas. So it's a match that he's going to be in the match. Obviously Cardenas has been wrestling really good this year. It's just like I said at the start of the show, nothing's going to be given. You can't just expect to win, especially whenever you're 8 seed going up against the 1 seed. You're going to have to go make it happen. You're not just going to be able to stand around and just expect to win the match that way. You have to go make it happen. And I think that Serber's in the right kind of mindset. We saw him in the Big 12 finals. He was more offensive than he's been all season. He was actually looking to create his own offense a little more than just let the guy on his leg and try to out scramble him, which, if the guys do end up on his leg, I like him in scrambles. I think that he can out scramble anybody in this weight. But it's good to see him get to his offense. And then, even, win or lose that match, he's going to be in a good spot to come through the backside. He's going to hit probably 1 or 2 pretty tough guys, but, Luke, he's another guy that just hasn't been on the podium yet, and he's definitely hungry to get there. So I like his chances of finishing on the podium as well.
Yeah, definitely. That, again, another guy that would just be great to see Luke Serber make the podium in his final season. And, if he can get up in that top 5, that's that's big time points for the team, helps secure that second place finish if possible. And then Wyatt Hendrickson, again, just excellent opportunity for him to go kind of shock the world. He's the 2 seed. Um, he's got a great path to the semifinals where he'll most likely hit returning national champion Greg Kirkfleet, who beat Wyatt 2 years ago in a 3-1 match in the NCAA tournament. And then if he can get vengeance there, then he will take on Gable Steveson, who is, one of the most dominant wrestlers of the past several years. I mean, I think that it's basically him and Bo Nickel and Alex Derringer. It's like 3 of the most dominant wrestlers of the past 10 years or so. So huge opportunity, very tall mountain to climb for Wyatt Hendrickson. But he's wrestling as good as he's ever wrestled, as loose as he's ever been. And if it's going to happen, it would be a really exciting time.
Yeah, looking to obviously you got to win the first 3 matches, but looking at that semifinal match, it's just another scenario where you can say, who knows Greg Kirkfleet better than David Taylor. That he's been there right there with him for the past 4 years or however long Greg Kirkfleet's been at Penn State. So he definitely knows how to wrestle Greg. Greg's obviously a great wrestler. He's tall, strong, long. But David Taylor's going to know how to wrestle him. So I think that, they're going to have a game plan going into that match. And I just think that you definitely don't want to focus too much on having a game plan, but it definitely helps. It helps whenever your coaches are going to give you some advice on what you should be doing out there, what you should be looking for. And I know that was a little bit of a selling point, whenever, Wyatt was, kind of thinking about where he wanted to go. And then once Coach David got here, that was a big selling point for him. I know how to beat Greg Kirkfleet. So I think that I can definitely help you get there as well. And you get past that match. Obviously, you do have your hands full with Gable, but just like we said earlier with Plott and Strachey, why not Wyatt Hendrickson? Why can't you beat him? Anything can happen. National titles aren't won on paper. You got to go out there and just do it. You got to go and be offensive. You're not gonna win just standing around. Got to go be offensive and put points on the board. And our guy has been wrestling that way all year, so I expect that to stay that way.
I think you can tie a nice bow on it, and it's hard to say this because it is about a Penn State guy, but nobody really expected Anthony Cassar to beat Gable Steveson in 2019, and then to beat Gable Steveson and then turn around and also beat Derek White was a tall task for Anthony Cassar, who was he had just been sitting at Penn State. He had never started. He wasn't a top recruit by any means. He was an underdog, which at Penn State is a rare thing, right? But it's a rare thing for an Oklahoma State guy to be an underdog, whatever. But
yeah,
he was, and he went and he did it. He slayed 2 Goliaths in that tournament, and he was kind of an undersized heavyweight. So, which I mean, Derek White wasn't the biggest guy in the world or anything, but yeah, I mean, it was a big run. So, yeah, I mean that kind of thing is just it happens all the time. It happens in this tournament every single year, more than once, which is what makes it the best event in sports. It's unpredictable. You never really know what's going to happen. It is unfortunate that the team race is fairly predictable because it kind of takes some shine off. But at the end of the day, the individual results are magical, and it's what makes it great. Daton, thank you so much for the time and for this season. I love having you co-host this thing. I really appreciate you. I'm excited to see it this week. We'll make sure to tune in on Instagram, at Dynasty Define. We're going to bring you some stuff. between sessions and things like that. And we're going to have some fun with it. It's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you so much, and go Pokes.